Yeah, man!
I bought this goat's meat on the street side downtown Kingston. I was skeptical, but it's something that I do from time to time. Look how fresh and beautiful this goat's meat is. Pretty and fresh. Before I freeze it, this is what it looks like. It is now COVID-19 if you're watching this at a later time. So what I did is put the meat in the refrigerator for 14 days and quarantine just to be on the safe side because corona can be transmitted to animals. If the meat is frozen, take it out 3 hours ahead of time. Allow it to defrost room temperature. If you're in a hurry, fill this container with water. Put the meat in the water with the plastic bag and allow it to defrost. That will probably take an hour. Hello, my name is Miguel and today I'm gonna make for you goat's meat curry stew, aka curry goat. 1 pound goat's meat. You could use mutton instead, which is lamb, which is sheep meat. You're gonna need 2 reasonable sized onions, stock, scallion, head of garlic, 10 between 12 garlic cloves, springtime, 1 tablespoon between a tablespoon and a half parsley, 1 tablespoon between a tablespoon and a half basil, teaspoon marjoram. Fresh is best. If you got fresh herbs, use that instead. For another dinner idea, you could add cumin. Use 1/4 teaspoon powder or 1/2 teaspoon seeds. Go get Cookbook Jamaican Dinners. I'm using the recipe from the cookbook to guide me. This is weed stick, marijuana stick. It's optional. If you have it, you could add it. Scientifically, all it does is combine the ingredients. Pinch nutmeg, optional. 1/2 inch piece ginger. 1/4 teaspoon dried pimento berries. 2 between 3 dried whole cloves. This is grinded whole cloves in olive oil. 1/2 Scotch bonnet pepper, optional. 1 tablespoon white distilled white vinegar. 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup cooking oil or less. I am using coconut oil. 1/2 pound Irish potato. Use carrots instead. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe. Tablespoon salt. I'm using sea salt. 2 tablespoons curry powder. Get Indian curry. While cooking, add the ingredients 2 times. Call this container container 1 and this container container 2. Now, starting with the herbs, measure 1 tablespoon between 1 tablespoon and a half dried parsley. Remember, you can use any of these herbs fresh. Cut it fine. Put 1/2 in container 1 and 1/2 in container 2. Measure 1 tablespoon between 1 tablespoon and a half basil. Put 1/2 in container 1 and 1/2 in container 2. Measure 1 teaspoon marjoram. Put marjoram in container 1. Grind 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg. Put it in container 1. Measure 1/4 teaspoon dried pimento berries. Put that in container 1. Put 2 whole cloves in container 1 as well. Measure and divide 1 tablespoon salt. I am using sea salt. Cut off scallion's root end. Cut off the tip of the scallion that's dying. Use your fingers, rip off dying leaves. Dried or fresh, springtime. Cut off root end. Cut 1/2 inch piece ginger. These vegetables need to be washed. But first, I'm going to prepare the garlic and the onion. Get that out of the way. Peel garlic, cut off ends, trim spoilage. Crush garlic to puree, or use a grinder like this. Grind garlic to puree. Save 1 piece garlic to burn the curry. Wash piece ginger clean under fresh running water. Mashed garlic. Put this aside for later. Now, onion. Peel onion. I like to cut the onion in half. It's easier to handle. Use a knife. Peel onion. Remove the brown leaf. Remember, the first layer of the onion is the strongest. Remove just the brown leaf. Slice or dice onion. Put half onion in container 1, half in container 2. Cut half Scotch bonnet pepper. Put that in container 2. It's optional. Pepper is optional. Get a big enough bowl. Drizzle several drops of distilled white vinegar in the water. Now, wash, thyme stick clean. Sometimes it mildew. Wash it properly. You could use teaspoon thyme leaf instead in this recipe. Give it a final rinse. Put thyme stick in container 2. Wash the scallion skin clean. Use your fingers and rub the scallion clean. Give it a final rinse. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. If using carrot, wash it as well. And then scrape the surface slightly. Or not. Cut carrot in little wheels. Keep it separate. Alright, now dice scallion. Put half in container 1, half in container 2. Irish potato. You could use the same water. Use your fingers. Rub and wash the Irish potato skin clean. Ensure to remove dirt. And then give it a final rinse. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. Put the wheat sticks, the marijuana sticks, and remember it's optional, in container 1. After that, peel Irish potato thin to the skin, meaning peel just the skin. Don't peel it too thick and peel off the Irish potato. Don't waste the Irish potato. Next, diced Irish potato. Two inches or half the size of your finger. Diced Irish potato. Put this aside for later. This is mashed whole clove in olive oil. Cover container. Container 1, container 2. Put seasoning aside for later. Look at this nice fresh red meat. If you can get fresh, beautiful red meat like this, that would be best. I actually bought this on the roadside downtown Kingston. This is something I don't do regular, if any at all. Anyway, I was walking by and I saw the people gathering. So I looked and I saw that it was a little meat stall. So I went over and I looked, saw pork mainly. Then I asked if they have goat meat. One lady said yes. I bought a pound. She said $700 a pound. That price is high, but it's also good. Because in the supermarket it's like almost $1,000 a pound. This is probably the most expensive meat in Jamaica. Not even seafood so expensive. No, this is the meat and it's defrost. Drizzle several drops of distilled white vinegar on the meat. Could use lime juice instead. Pour enough water on the meat. Use your fingers, wash the meat quickly. And then throw off that water. Pour fresh water on the meat. Pour it out. Use your hands, squeeze the meat, removing remaining water. It's best if you do this part on the fresh running water. Next, put pressure cooker to heat. Put stove's gauge on 4, medium-low. Some people would do this the night before, season the meat, put it in the refrigerator and allow it to marinate overnight. However, that might be important. Sometimes I think it's not necessary. I would probably do that if I was keeping a pot. Add piece ginger, add the 1 piece garlic. Get a fork ready. Measure and add 1 tablespoon and a half between 2 tablespoons curry powder. Use Indian curry. Level off the spoon. I like to use Indian curry. Measure and put into the pressure cooker pot 1 tablespoon and a half between 2 tablespoons curry powder. Use the fork, poke it in the garlic clove. Now use that to rub the curry powder on the pot's bottom while it's burning. Do that for 40 seconds between a minute. Watch the curry. Do not allow the curry to get black. Once the color of the curry starts to get a little bit darker, then it's ready to add cooking oil. After 40 seconds between a minute, add cooking oil. Swirl the oil that is in the pot, covering curry powder. Immediately after that, add goat's meat. Oh yes, usually at the butcher, they dice the goat's meat in chunks, in biteable chunks, so that you don't have to cut it again. Use a cooking spoon, stir in goat's meat, coating it with curry powder evenly. This is mashed whole clove in olive oil. I'm just measuring half teaspoon with a little bit of mashed whole clove, with grinded whole clove. Stir it in. I forgot to divide mashed garlic. Put half in container 1, half in container 2. Then immediately after that, add seasoning from container 1. Stir it in, stir it in. A few seconds after that, measure and add 2.5 cups water. If you use 3 cups, that's okay. It is safe to use as much as 3 cups. Stir it in. Look, it's half proportion water, half proportion meat. Therefore, if you're cooking more meat, it should look like this. Half proportion meat, half proportion water. You don't want to add too much water when cooking goat's meat. Ensure pressure cooker's lid rubber is in properly. Cover pressure cooker properly. If you're using a pressure cooker like this, ensure nozzle is on meat or cooking, not pressure release. Now that it starts whistling, set timer for 25 minutes. Now, I want you to turn the stove on low. Slow pressure cook the meat. Low, see? Low. After time, turn the stove off. Carefully move the pressure cooker to a cool spot on the stove. Allow it to cool on its own. If you're in a hurry, pour enough water in a big enough container, put the pressure cooker into the water, and then run the faucet over this part. Once this releases, then it would be safe enough to open the lid. Don't ever use this pressure release nozzle. In my opinion, I believe you're releasing the flavor, and that will make the flavor of the curry fresh. This is why a lot of people don't like using pressure cooker. After cooling, as I opened the lid, the curry goat's aroma hits my face. Although I know that 25 minutes is good time to pressure goat's meat, check the meat to see if it's tenderized. Use a fork. Poke it right through the meat. If it goes through easily, it's ready for the next step. If you were cooking plenty, you could continue using the same pot. However, I'm going to pour this pressured curry goat stew into a smaller saucepan. Turn on the stove. Put the stove's gauge on 4 medium-low. Next, add seasoning from container 2. Measure and add tablespoon distilled white vinegar, stir it in, watch the pepper. Keep the pepper on top of the stew. Stove gauge is on 4 medium low. Use the saucepan's lid. Cover saucepan properly. Allow simmering. Stove gauge is on 4 medium low. Allow. After 8 minutes, this is what it looks like. Okay, because I used 2 cups and a half water, I have to watch it. The water is drying out too fast. Now would be a good time to turn the stove gauge on low, between almost off and low. Put it on simmering. If we had used the 3 cups of water, but I have to watch it. We could have just let it stay on medium and just let it continue stewing. Use the pan's lid, cover saucepan, allow simmering. Turn the stove gauge on low, between almost off and low. Put it on simmering. After 12 minutes, this is how the stew looks. Now would be a good time to add your diced Irish potato. If I had used the 3 cups of water, I would have added the Irish potato between 10 minutes to the end. But because the water is getting low, I must add the Irish potato now and allow it to cook longer with the stove gauge on low. Stir in diced Irish potato. Use the pan's lid, cover it, allow. After 20 minutes, 8 minutes since we added Irish potato, now would be a good time to remove the thyme sticks. The stove's gauge is on low. This is how the stew looks. If using butter, now would be a good time to add it. A tablespoon of butter. Use the cooking spoon, stir the stew in. Feel on the pot's bottom. If the stew is sticking, it feels okay to me. Curry goat stew looks good. We just need to thicken the gravy more. Now would be a good time to remove the peace pepper. Now would be a good time to turn up the stove's gauge on 4, medium low. Use the pan's lid, cover it, and allow simmering. Remember, keep the lid sealed within the time. Don't open the pot every minute. Keep the lid sealed within the time. After 25 minutes, 12 minutes since we add Irish potato, stove gauge is on 4, 5 minutes now. This is how the stew looks. Remove the wheat sticks. Remove the marijuana sticks. And remember, it's optional. Stir the stew in. See how thick the gravy is getting. You could finish now and turn the stove off. But just to get the gravy juicy and thick just right, you could turn the stove up. Leave the lid off, allow it to simmer a few seconds more. Once the stew starts to stick to the pot's bottom, that's a sign to say it's ready. This is what you want, juicy looking curried goat gravy. Use the spoon, feel on the pot's bottom for sticking. When bubbles start splashing and hitting the stove and everywhere, that's a sign to say the stew is ready as well. This is thick enough. Turn the stove off. Finished. Use the pan's lid. Cover the saucepan until serving. If you could, allow the stew to sit an hour between 2 hours before serving. Warm it up before serving. By then, the stew will get mature, and that will make the flavor of the curry goat more flavorful. That will make the curry goat juicy and bursting with flavor. Before serving goat's meat curry stew, stir your pot in, moist up the meat. Take a scoop of this delicious looking curried goat and lay it on a plate of rice. To recap, we pressure cook meat for 25 minutes and then stew it for 25 minutes more. In total, this took 50 minutes to cook. So in all, about an hour it took to prepare and cook this meal. This is goat's meat curry stew, aka curried goat. Visit JamaicanDinners.com for the recipe. Subscribe, like and share. You should try making this meal yourself. When you do, give us feedback. Goat's meat curry stew, aka curried goat. Patois curry goat. Goat's meat curry stew, aka curried goat. Patois curry goat. Two tablespoons of curry powder is efficient for 1 pound goat's meat. If you're cooking more, use 1 tablespoon curry powder more for each additional pound. To get a good tasting curry goat, use the right curry powder. What is the right curry powder? I like to use Indian curry. Buy that. The other curries out there are too questionable. Cook curried goat alone with diced Irish potato or diced carrot, or use both. Eat curry goat with steamed broccoli or cauliflower. You could eat it with mashed potatoes, crackers or bread. To really enjoy curry goat, you must eat it with plain white rice. Curry goat is delicious with white rice. Curry goat is delicious with boiled hard starchy food such as yam and green bananas, along with dumpling. If you must eat red meat, goat's meat is better to eat than cow's meat, than the other red meats out there. Big up Z Nation for requesting a do-over for curried goat. The herbs blend with the vegetables made the flavor of this curry goat delicious. Well, you saw the meat, it's red. Maybe that's why the curry looks dark. It's not because I used too much curry. The flavor of the curry is not strong in this recipe. If you use less, you're gonna find yourself adding curry while it's stewing, and you don't want that. Until next time, walk good. Yeah, man!